Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Sunita Nishant. I am delighted to have you here. In this video, you will witness the creation of a beautiful landscape painting using a simple yet effective watercolor technique, splattering. Join me as we explore the fascinating world of artistry, where every brushstroke tells a story. Let us embark on a journey of creating and self-expression together. Thank you for tuning in and let us make some art. Hey there, fellow art lovers. Welcome to our watercolor adventure. Today we are diving headfirst into the wonderful world of landscape painting. Picture this, a blank sketchbook, a palette of colors waiting to be unleashed, and our creativity ready to soar. So grab your brushes, settle in, and get ready for a journey through hues and strokes as we bring this landscape to life. Before we dive into the colors, let us start with a simple sketch. Watch as the scene unfolds before your eyes with each strokes of pencil bringing the landscape to life. This is where the magic begins, laying the foundation of our masterpiece. Sketching before painting is not just a step. It is a cornerstone of the entire artistic process. It's where ideas take shape and compositions comes to life. But why it is so important? Sketching allows us to plan our composition, deciding on the placement of elements like trees, mountains, and rivers. It helps us work out the proportions and perspectives before committing to paint. Sketching also allows us to experiment with different compositions and perspectives, helping us find the most captivating arrangement of our painting. Additionally, sketching helps us understand the play of light and shadow in our scene. That is one of the most crucial part while painting. By mapping out these areas beforehand, we can create a more convincing scene of depth and realism in our final painting. Now, let us dive into our color palette. I'll be using yellow, Russian blue, scarlet lake, and white. We will start by laying down a sunny base wash of yellow. This is where we set the stage for our lush landscape. I am laying yellow color with wet on wet technique. Adding more yellow to the base, and then after each layer of painting, I will sprinkle some water to create a splatter to add texture to the scene. Next, I'll be mixing Prussian blue, yellow, and a hint of scarlet lake to create a warmish green for the greenery. I am applying this mixture to the bottom of our painting like laying down a carpet of fresh grass. After painting every stroke, I will add more splatters to create texture and depth to the foliage. Adding more green to the bottom. I have taken little yellow ochre and I will paint yellow ochre in between green and yellow to create a beautiful gradient effect. It is like blending sunlight with shadow, adding depth and dimension to our foliage. So with each brush stroke and splatter, we are building a vibrant and dynamic landscape that draws the viewer's attention. By adding splatters, we can create more shades and texture to the foliage. Now I have taken Prussian blue and scarlet lake to create a brown color to paint the rooftop of the house. As we apply our colors, we are not just sticking to one shade. We might add a touch of more yellow to one area or a hint of blue to another. In this way, we can create variations to create or mimic the natural or organic look that mirrors the diversity of colors we find in nature. So whether we are painting leaves or blending skies, we are always mindful of creating those subtle variations in hues. It gives our painting depth and character that makes our colors look more alive and vibrant. Now I am adding a lighter tone of brown for the fence. Now let us add some muted green for those distant trees, creating a sense of depth and distance in our landscape. Picture trees far off in the distance. Their colors softened by the haze of the horizon. So we will mix our green with a touch of brown to tone down the vibrancy, giving it a more subdued, distant appearance. Then with gentle strokes, we will paint in those far off trees, careful not to make them too bold or defined. Since my paper is wet, it is easy for me to create a soft blending. Same muted green, I am creating each stroke for painting the tree leaves. Now let us bring the sky into our landscape. We will start by applying the light wash of Prussian blue like the gentle touch of a brush. This soft blue will set the backdrop of our scene, stretching out above the horizon. We will use broad, sweeping strokes to cover the upper portion of our horizon, leaving some area lighter and others slightly darker to mimic the natural variations in the sky. So think of it as painting the vast expanse of the atmosphere above us. As we blend our blue wash across the paper, we will let it seamlessly merge the colors below, creating a smooth transition from sky to land. So it's like blending colors on a palette, but on a much larger scale. With each stroke of blue, we are not just painting a sky, we are painting a mood, setting the tone for our entire landscape. Now adding more distant trees with muted grey. You can create muted green by adding little grey to that or little brown to that. So as we step back and take in our painting, you can see the landscape scene truly coming together. The layers of colors from the vibrant greens of the foliage to the muted tones of the distant trees blend harmoniously to create a sense of depth and atmosphere. So the sky stretches out above us, a soft wash of blue that adds a touch of serenity to the scene. And the splatters of paint scattered throughout the foliage, they bring texture and life to our painting. So with each stroke of brush, our landscape evolves, telling a story of growth and tranquility. Now let us bring our landscape to life by adding the sturdy tree trunks and intricate branches. We will mix a bit of blue with brown to create a deep, earthy hue that mimics the shadows and highlights found on tree bark. With careful strokes, we will paint in the main tree trunks, anchoring our scene and adding a sense of stability to the landscape. Later, we will add delicate branches reaching out like fingers against the sky. These tree trunks and branches add a sense of structure to our painting, grounding the lush foliage and giving our landscape a scene of scale and realism. In this way, we can create a character and depth to our landscape. It is these little touches that make our painting come alive, drawing viewers' attention and inviting them to explore every corner of our painted world. Now let us add another layer of magic to our foliage by creating splatters of color. With each flick of brush, we will scatter droplets of paint across the foliage, like confetti sprinkled over a celebration. These splatters add texture and depth to our painting. In this way, we can create illusion of leaves catching the light and casting shadow. They bring our foliage to life, making it feel vibrant and dynamic. I will vary the colors of splatters using different shades of green, yellow, and even hints of brown or red. This adds visual interest and complexity to the painting, mimicking the natural diversity found in the real forest. As we continue to splatter, we will step back and admire how our landscape transforms before our eyes. Each splatter adds another layer of depth and dimension, pulling the viewer's attention to our painted world. So with each splatter, we have to make sure to introduce even more variations in color. So every now and then we have to introduce variations by mixing different shades of green, yellow and brown, as well as a touch of other colors to mimic the diversity of foliage found in nature. Simply tear off a piece of tissue paper and gently lay it over the area where you want to protect, such as the sky or distant mountains. This will make sure it is securely placed so that no paint can sweep underneath. Now with the tissue paper acting as a shield, I can freely splatter paint on the foliage below without worrying about it spreading to unwanted areas. So this technique allows me to maintain sharp edges and clean lines, ensuring our painting looks polished and professional. Once we are done with splattering, we can carefully remove the tissue paper to reveal our beautifully preserved horizon. It's a simple and yet effective trick that helps us achieve the desired effect while keeping our painting neat and tidy. To add the final touch to our foliage, let us sprinkle some white splatters on top. This final step will bring highlights and dimension to our painting, making the foliage come alive with a sense of light and airiness. Using a fine brush, we will use the white paint to flick gently over the foliage. These splatters will mimic the sunlight catching on leaves, adding sparkles and freshness to our scene. So we will focus on areas where the light would naturally hit, like top of the foliage. Now I'll be painting tree leaves. For painting the tree leaves, I am using cool deep green. By using a mix of cool deep green and adding a touch of white to that, we can create some really interesting variations in hues. It is like playing with different shades of green to give our painting more depth and character. Also, by adding a bit of white to the mix helps to maintain the atmospheric perspective. As you can see, the leaves closer will appear brighter and darker with more detail, while those further away from the viewer's eye will become softer and less defined. So, by adding these variations in color, we are not just painting leaves, also we are creating a sense of distance and space in our landscape. Pretty cool, right? As we add these final touches, we will step back and admire how our painting transformed before our eyes. The addition of white splatters add a subtle yet impactful detail that elevate our landscape to a new level of realism. From the vibrant foliage to the serene sky, every element of our painting has been carefully crafted to evoke emotion and draw the viewers into our world. We have explored techniques like splattering and layering mainly in this particular painting to add texture and depth, while also embracing concepts like atmospheric perspective to create a sense of distance and space. So, as we step back and admire our finished masterpiece, let us remember the joy and creativity that fueled our artistic journey. Painting is not just about putting colors on a canvas, it's all about capturing moments, emotions, and memories that speak to the heart. So, with the electric post and lines in place, our painting is almost complete. So, whether you are a seasoned artist or just beginning your creative exploration, remember to embrace the process, experiment with the new techniques, and let your imagination soar. Because at the end, it is the journey of creating the art that brings us the greatest fulfillment and joy. Here is to many more inspiring moments, artistic breakthroughs, and shared experiences together. Thank you for being a subscriber, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you. Until next time, happy painting.